Hello. Getting real cozy.
Hey, Kevin.
What's going on, my man?
Thank you for joining us here today.
No problem. Happy to be here.
I gotta ask you, so I'm really hungry. Have you had lunch yet?
I have not, actually, sadly enough.
Shall we ute it?
We should ute it.
That was a terrible segue.
I'm okay with it.
So you're working on an app called Ute, and I guess before we get any further, let's sort of jump right into it. Give us the broad strokes.
First, to be clear, obviously, the food space in mobile and obviously in web is so crowded. It's probably one of the hardest spaces to break into, and not only that, but you really have to know your lane. You're not going to reinvent the wheel. So what I wanted to look at and what I wanted to do is really simplify search. At first, it really was a new way to look at the amount of content given to you with a single search constantly. I really wanted to simplify that, pull it down to one location at a time based on, at the time, we were going to go through different avenues to see what kind of better results, with different companies out there, Yelp, Foursquare, a bunch of different things. We ended up going with Yelp just because of their data set and their amount of data that we needed. What we do is we take Yelp data, we simplify it down and show one location that we recommend via our little algorithm based in your area and your location. Simple, sounds pretty easy, but at the same time, the goal was to be, I traveled around the world for a long time with me and my brothers, and realized very quickly that I would go down to the concierge, ask for the best Thai place in Amsterdam when we were there. They'd be like, oh, it's a corner, 3 blocks, make a left, it's there. But he'd always give one location. He wouldn't tell you multiple places. When you said, give me the best, it was always one location. But if you say, give me Thai on any mobile device, on any search engine, it's going to give you 30 different locations. So the goal was to simplify that and pull down just one. And original V1 was, that's all it was, proof of concept. Phone number, location, that's it. And then we've just launched for version 2, which is a whole new UI, UX experience overhaul, ordering, integration, photos, reviews, all of the above.
Gotcha. And so I don't mean to sort of rain on the parade, but so this is a pretty decent look of what the app looks like, right?
Yes.
It looks an awful lot like an app called Yo.
Well, that was originally the idea. It's Yo for food. My friend Greg Eisenberg over at 5by, you know that? Yeah, 5by and Stumble Upon. He posted that on Product Hunt for me as the Yo for food. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's why Yo food was originally the idea. It's like Yo could be so much more than it was when it originally launched. When Yo came out, everyone was like, "Whoa, this thing had 1.5 million downloads," but it was just a communication tool with a single word. I was like, "Well, the premise is right. The simplicity, the minimalistic aspects of it that are cool is what I loved." So we kind of designed the UI based on that as well.
Gotcha. So I find it really interesting. Whenever I talk to a founder working on an app, I feel like they often have to come to a point where they ask themselves, is what I'm creating actually a standalone product? Does it stand on its own merit? Or is it really more of a feature for somebody else? Well, have you thought about that at all?
We have, and that's actually why we jumped into, with version 2, we did hotspots. And with the Apple Watch, it's one of our key features. So hotspots for us, based on all of our searches, we have the best place around, but sometimes you're not looking for just, one location in Thai. You're looking for the best, you want to know what's trending around me right now, as it were. So what we did is based on everything that's happening in our app, instead of just how many times Thai got searched, it's actual actionable items. So how many times someone ordered, someone went there, they asked for directions, they made a phone call. So those actionable items to us were what were important instead of just a simple search. That plays in a piece of it, but it's really about the actionable items. So we took those hotspots and kind of created the widget for iOS and obviously the Apple Watch, and it's 3 places, the best kind of around you right now. And we're seeing that use case actually more than even the app itself. And so,
no kidding.
Yeah, so which is great. So the theory worked.
Are you concerned at all that a company like a Yelp or a Foursquare could say, "Oh, this is a pretty good idea. We could do this in like 3 weeks"?
Potentially, but those companies are worried about board members most of the time anyway, and putting out fires half the time. For us, I have a big passion for mobile. Luckily, I've had some success in my life to be able to go and build things that I like, and I just want to try. I've made some strides just to see, can I create a product, put it out mobily, and have some sort of adoption. This is phase 1 of a much broader plan with lots of different company products, and I have a lot of products that I want to build, but it's about finding the right people. So it's, you take things in phases.
Right. And so I guess when I first heard you were working on an app, and I think word of you first broke last year,
Yeah.
I sort of conjured up the image of you punching code into a laptop at your bedroom in the middle of the night. But you keep referring to us, so I guess that's not exactly the case.
I wish. I did take computer programming in high school for a hot minute. I actually built. Have you ever watched? Oh wow! You know who Trogdor is?
I do.
Of course. Well, there you go. Homestar Runner, right? Homestar
Naturally,
Runner.
yeah.
I built a Trogdor video game. That was my first attempt at
Can
coding.
you open source it, please?
I wish. You know what? I wanted to go back to that high school and ask that teacher if he's still there, if he still has my code. But I'll see what I can do. Regardless, I cannot code. I wish I could. That being said, I know how to hire people that can and that are really good at what they do. And I also love the power of social media because I reached out on Twitter and said, hey, I'm looking for a lead iOS. And 5 minutes later, I had 100 DMs with resumes, which is totally awesome. I actually found one out of Missouri, and he's awesome, and he's killing it and loving every aspect of it.
So what is the team now?
So it's lean, right?
Yeah.
It's myself leading. I have a head. I have a lead iOS, like I said, but I have a full-time back end. He's kind of part on, let's call him CTO.
Yeah.
Right. And I also have another dev as well that kind of does the grunt work, you know, the overhaul stuff.
Yeah.
But then UI UX stuff we lend to our designers and we go from there.
So you, I think, has the potential to be very valuable, but it's, I think, I'm correct in saying this, one of many ideas that you sort of kicked around before you committed to something. Can you tell us what other things were floating through your mind when you were like, oh, okay, let's make something here?
Yeah, a couple different products I've worked on, but this was one that we first launched. Just pretty simple: create an account on iOS and the Apple Store and throw it up. You know, throw a little monetization value in there, throw some ads on with iAd, and see what happens. Right. So that was the idea. From there, it's kind of grown into much more. But other ideas that we've kicked around, early days of Snapchat, you know, third parties before that really became a hard thing to monitor. You know, now they've really cut back. I really wanted to build a platform for high-level influencers to understand more about their audience and the numbers they get and the kind of infrastructure that is behind their platform. So that was something I really wanted to go and strive to do, and I kind of built a company around that as well. But really now, because of the third-party crackdown and because I have a really good relationship with Snapchat and I understand that platform really well, I work with influencers all the time to try to make content and deliver that content and go from there. And I now actually do a show with AOL Rise for their Snapchat show, which is weekly, like all the best snaps of the week, together.
So let's just back up, and just to make sure I have this right, you were going to build an analytics platform for celebrities?
I did.
You did.
Then
this is not at all the answer I expected to get when I asked this question.
Then the third party reaping happened. I'm sure you wrote about that day. I'm probably sure. I'm sure about it.
It's a dark one, yeah.
It was crazy. What they did is they backwards compatibility. They shut everything down. They made sure that they had. It's a security thing, right? Of course, they want to protect their network and protect their users, and I think it was smart. And they said, if you don't have this newer version, you can't use Snapchat. Very much in line with Facebook saying, okay, guys, you can no longer use Messenger on your mobile device. You have to have the app. It's not built into Facebook anymore. It's with the power of these amazing companies, they have the ability to completely pivot, and it doesn't feel bad. It actually feels like, oh, it's just a new product, which is really cool.
I was intrigued when I found out you were doing this, and more specifically that you were building something, right? Because celebrities lending their names to a tech company or investing in a tech company, they're a dime a dozen, right? So you've got Jay-Z and Tidal, and you've got...
Yeah.
Why not invest? Why not take what you've...
I've done that too. So that's the thing. I've invested in others and some other ideas. I've lended my name and been a part of some other companies just helping out on some, social strategy and different things like that. But really, for me... why let them have all the fun? At the end of the day, let's build something great. Let's change the world and see what you can do. So
I'm really curious. You have gone through a bit of a transition over the past several months. And I wanted to know, and I think a lot of people want to know as well, what has it been like for you trying to redefine yourself? Maybe not so much as a pop star, as a father and an entrepreneur.
I'm having the greatest time ever. I've been very blessed in my life, and I know that. I'm very lucky. I know that I get to wake up every morning, do something a little different than most people would have to like get up and go to work. I get to kind of decide what my day is going to be,
Right.
and I get to define that. And that's because I worked really hard and put 10 days into every single day for the last 10 years, you know? But now I get to kind of have fun with it. So yes, will I invest in other companies as these other things happen? Of course, you know, who wouldn't put $1 into Uber
Sure.
if they could have put into the Series A, right? That being said, going forward, I have ideas, I have understanding, but at the same time, I'm not a genius. That's why what we've kind of built out is you surround yourself with people that have innovative ideas and exciting and just want to build great things, and you work together in kind of like a communal, what's great, anyone have an idea this week? Let's talk about it. You know, spark can come from anything, and you just kind of, you got to run with it. Simple idea. It was one night sitting around talking about Yo and what else it could be. And now it's here.
I wanted to jump back really quickly as far as the UD team, right? So you've had several other ideas. Presumably UD isn't going to be the one thing you devote the rest of your life to. Maybe it will.
Honestly, we launched version 1. I was like, great, this is very cool. Then all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, you're like, yeah, it needs this, it needs this, it needs this. And of course, we're already waiting for approval on the new update. You know, so there's always continually bettering your product, and that's the goal. Luckily, I have certain people in key roles. There's a U team, there's R&D team.
Right.
There's focus on hitting the mark. I think for me, I can get excited and run from left to right. But it's about, I think the one thing I have learned, to answer your question, which I don't even think I answered, I apologize, is to stay focused on one thing at a time. And even though you can do a lot of different things, it's about how you nail one thing and get it right, and then, transition into the next piece.
So you said earlier that you lived or spent quite a bit of your time living 10 days in one day.
Yeah.
What do your days look like now? Take us through your schedule.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm a new father. Well, pretty new.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
Give it up.
Yeah, she's about 60 months old. She's awesome. She's exactly like me, full of energy. My wife does not know what to do with her because she doesn't stop. But that being said, I wake up in the morning. I think to best define who I am, I like to see things built from idea to completion. Mm-hmm. I also love building homes. I've done it for a long time. Made an early investment in real estate, saw that benefit, and carried on.
Not bad.
So I've got that going on. I might visit job site, go work with my building partner there. Always continually building, using Slack constantly.
You're a Slack person. We discussed this a bit backstage.
Yeah, definitely Slack.
What's the appeal of Slack for you? I'm curious. We use it as well, basically the entire company, but.
It's pretty a little bit, right? Let's be honest. It's pretty. It's fun. Hashtags for different functionality. The way it integrates to Dropbox. The way you can approve screenshots for new UI stuff, and then be able to add comments just to those photos. It's just very organized, which is great. I like to keep things very in their lane because, as you can imagine, I've got 100 things going on. So I'd like to do that. Honestly, I just try to work as hard as I can for as long as I can, all day, every day. And until I pass out at night. That's pretty much what I do.
While we're talking about Slack and sort of the apps and services you find valuable, what can I find on your phone right now? We're ready to take your phone out of your pocket and start rifling through it.
Let's see, right? The first page is mostly social stuff. Obviously the usual, Snapchat, Twitter, Slack, Hangouts is a good one. Let's see here. I'm getting more into Messenger. Never had Facebook. Just for my own personal use, I just never really have.
Fair, I think.
But then I saw how big of a platform Facebook Messenger could be from a building on top of their new mobile SDK.
Right.
So there's very minimal apps out there specific to that, and I think if you can get early, it could be very, very good. So we're playing around with that. So I'm getting more used to the UI there.
It's really interesting. When we were sort of catching up for the first time backstage, you're far savvier in this space, and I think a lot of people would give you credit for it. So I'm curious, what is the sort of reputation that you would like to have in tech?
I want to build something of my own. At the same time, I'm at the end of it all. I just love it. I consume this content daily. If you look at my Twitter feed, like what I'm actually reading It's all the tech journals, it's the tech blogs, it's the people like that. My
Hopefully
friends,
Engadget as well, right?
of course. It's religiously watching what's happening on Product Hunt, things like that. So I just have a huge passion for it, always have. So it's ever growing. I'm changing constantly about my focus, but at the same time, I hope that one day I can find a place in this space that is mine forever.
Your social presence is really something to behold as well.
Oh, thanks. It's a little bit of an unfair advantage launching product, but
I mean, you're a founder, right? You'll take whatever you can get.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm a fairly recent follower. I hope you'll forgive me. But I was taking a look at the people that you do sort of pay attention to on Twitter. Ryan Hoover, Product Hunt, obviously. A lot of other sort of big players in tech. And I'm curious, what have you learned from these people?
I've learned a lot. I've learned, I think, mostly from them that they are just as passionate about other people's product as they are about their own. Like Ryan built Product Hunt because he loves stuff.
Right.
Like he just loves stuff. He loves new gadgets. We've talked about it today. We're talking about the watch, right? Like what are you using? What are you not using? You got to have the newest and latest. It's the same thing with all these the app companies, mobile companies, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing. We always want the newest thing. It's just another. I collected baseball cards growing up and X-Men cards. So yeah, it's like the newest version of the holographic Pokemon card. Essentially, is what you're collecting is your new apps.
That's probably the best reference I could have hoped for today. So thank you for that. Oh man, really quickly, I wanted to address something, and this might get a little journalistic on you. So let's do it. So when you first launched sort of the proof of concept of Ude last year, it sort of came out that you were having preliminary conversations with investors about maybe building up some money and turning this into something bigger. Any progress there that you'd care to share?
Yeah, I definitely went out to San Francisco, met with a bunch of different people. I really focused on version 2, and we've had incredible growth since then, which has been great for me. So I feel like I made the right decision, which was not to take any investment on early yet. Like I said, I've been blessed in my life, so I've been able to fund and build these companies prior to taking on investment. Not saying that I wouldn't. Hell, why not? But it's got to be right, and it's got to be the right strategic partner. Like I said, though, Ude is in a very crowded space, like most things, and I'm learning a lot. I don't learn from the background. I like to throw myself into the fire, and I think this is definitely step 1 of that.
Gotcha. I think we might be just about out of time for this part. But one parting question for you.
Cool.
And I would feel remiss if I didn't ask this. Do you think it's possible to see, your sort of big loves, right? So music and tech sort of coming together and converging for you in some way down the road?
Definitely, especially in the influencer space. I have a huge passion for getting rid of the old model, which was, hey, hold up this product and smile. Even though that's great, it makes companies a lot of money, brand awareness, and of course, influencers a lot of capital. To me, there's got to be a more programmatic version to influencer marketing, and there's got to be a cooler way to get it done. And so that's what I'm.
Gotcha.
Focused.
So definitely not Kevin Jonas branded version of Spotify or anything.
No, and I will not be building a streaming service. No way in hell.
Well, hey, maybe if Ude goes well, you'll raise enough, you'll gain enough revenue. Maybe just buy Tidal.
Oh, yeah.
It's not really doing anyone any good right now.
Well, you know what? To them, I think what their passion is for the love of the artist, right? And I think that that's great. And I think that the effectiveness is great. But we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see
Yeah, that chapter is yet to be written.
Yes, exactly.
On that note, let's turn it over to the audience for questions.
Cool.
We're going to have...
Hey, how's it going, Kevin?
Hey, what's up?
I'm good, thank you. So question, obviously Ude is about food.
Yep.
So I would like to know if culinary plays a part in your personal life or any of your family. Are they cooks or chefs or anything of that nature?
Yeah, my brother owns a restaurant called Hinterland or is a partner in a restaurant in Santa Monica. It's really cool, super trendy. My wife's an incredible cook. I love food, eating around the world. Really, learned to love that. It started as food, but you can add any category. So anything you want in Ude, we'll search for anything and everything. Pretty cool.
Cool.
Hello, Kevin.
Hello.
Chris. Love the simplicity of the app.
Thanks.
I got a question for the future. what's your plans in terms of monetization? Is it going to be businesses being able to submit listings or ads, or what are your thoughts on that?
Ooh, that's a juicy one.
It is a good one. It is monetization, right? Obviously, focus on growth to start, but we did add monetization into this V2. We partnered up with delivery.com, and we work with even Eat24 a little bit, but really delivery is our built-in system. And what we do is you can order right through the app if we support your restaurant, and the more that go into that, then we can get a percentage of that completion of that order, which is great. I see this more as if we really go heavy with monetization, it's affiliate deals, it's percent off opportunities, it's immediate. We did a sponsored day for donut day, in our hotspots. So you had the best donut shops around. Product placement like that is probably where we would head.
Hi. So initially, the app really interests me because in these days we are just saturated with too many choices,
Yes.
right? And so that's really interesting that it gives you one. But when I think about it longer, you say that you partnered with Yelp and they help with your algorithm. So why do they do that? Because then wouldn't people be using your app instead of theirs? Like, how does that work?
It's still their data. So it's their data, we're just repurposing. Essentially, we're just giving a new facelift, right? We're just reusing what's out there. And that's why, like I said, the space is so crowded, right? There's so many people. Seamless, Grubhub, obviously they merged. And then you've got Yelp, you've got Foursquare, you've got Google, AOL. You got everything and everyone that has search. So going from there, it's all about repurposing the content and data that's out there. I don't think I'm going to be able to build a network the size of Yelp in a short amount of time. So it's just repurposing their content.
This question is from Periscope, and
What up, Scopes?
People from the UK would like to know
Awesome.
if you are going to be presenting, if the app's going to stay in the States, or are you going to be looking at putting it worldwide?
It is global as of right now. It's on iOS and Android. The data set is, like I said, we're basing our database on others. So the more they grow in other territories, the more information we get. All right. Nice
think we
talking to
might
you
be
too.
good.
Throw it back to you guys.
Cool.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The new app is called Viewed. Take it for a spin, see what you think.
Thank you very much.